Welcome to StopFake, the place where we identify fakes and debunk them to set the record straight on disinformation about Ukraine. I'm Marko Suprun with this week's stories. Ukraine's military preparing sabotage in Crimea. Ukrainian army deploys Polish soldiers in Donbas. Mass shooting in Crimea, Russia blames Ukraine. And a tiny Turkish church demands legal action against Constantinople Patriarch. So let's get to it. On October the 11th, RT, Sputnik, and other Russian media declared Ukraine's military are planning acts of sabotage in Russian-annexed Crimea, featuring stories claiming that Ukraine's military attempts at sabotage and diversion are fantasies and would not be successful. This wave of fakes mocking Ukraine's military came as a response to President Petro Poroshenko's announcement that 39 additional military units were deployed along Ukraine's border in places considered to be at risk from Russian attack, including along the border with Crimea. Leonid Kalashnikov, the head of Russia's State Duma CIS committee, accused Ukraine of preparing provocations in Crimea and claimed Ukraine had no money to support the additional brigades anyway. President Poroshenko announced the formation of additional units and explained that 39 new brigades were being placed not only on Ukraine's border with Crimea, but along other potential areas of Russian military intrusion, such as Transnistria and the very long eastern border with Russia. He stressed these units were formed to defend Ukraine's mainland and not to attack Crimea. Kiev has always maintained that Crimea would be reclaimed through diplomatic channels and not through military conflict. Poroshenko anticipates Kiev will reassert control of the peninsula using diplomacy. He said, as Russia hurriedly militarizes Crimea, restoring Soviet-era bases and turning it into an island of unfreedom, we should utilize all international legal channels to transform Crimea into an unbearable burden for Moscow. NATO-equipped Polish mercenaries deployed to Donbas. This headline was emblazoned across several separatist websites last week. These publications cite Lieutenant Colonel Andriy Morochko, the representative of the so-called People's Police of the self-proclaimed Luhansk People's Republic, who during his latest briefing announced that Ukraine's military was supplementing its 53rd Mechanized Brigade deployed in the eastern Ukrainian Luhansk region with 30 fighters armed with NATO-grade weapons who arrived on the scene speaking Polish. You can't make this stuff up. Responding to StopFake's inquiry about Morochko's claim, the Ukrainian Armed Forces press office, who said there are no foreign fighters in the war zone in eastern Ukraine, only exclusively Ukrainian military are deployed there. During the same briefing, Morochko also claimed that Ukraine's military were infighting and one soldier was killed and 3 wounded by a grenade in an altercation. Low morale among Ukrainian servicemen is leading to these non-combat losses, Morochko claimed. A representative of the Ukrainian Armed Forces told StopFake that this claim is a complete fake. There has been no such incident anywhere. The press officer said this is an obvious fake in the Russian information war. Orthodox Patriarch Bartholomew's decision to grant the Ukrainian Orthodox Church independence has raised the ire of the Russian Orthodox Church and the country's politicians who are actively seeking allies in their cause against this move. The so-called Turkish Orthodox Church has risen to the occasion and announced that it not only supports the Russian Orthodox Church, but is suing Patriarch Bartholomew. And pro-Kremlin media were thrilled with this news. TASS, RT, and Sputnik screamed with headlines like Turkish Orthodox Church demands legal action against the Constantinople Patriarch, and Turkish Orthodox Church sues Patriarch. Sevgi Erinol, a spokesman for the Turkish Orthodox Church, said Patriarch Bartholomew violated Turkish law and is instigating a new conflict between Ukraine and Russia, actions which are punishable according to the Turkish Penal Code. Erinol said, quote, "The status of the Constantinople Patriarch, according to the Lausanne Peace Treaty of 1923, is limited to church services for the Greeks living in Turkey. Actually, the Patriarch of Constantinople is not mentioned anywhere in the Lausanne Treaty. We checked. The Turkish Orthodox Church began its existence in 1922, a year before the Lausanne Treaty was signed. It is an unrecognized Orthodox denomination with strong influences from Turkish nationalist ideology. Its Wikipedia entry states that it has all of 400 members. The tiny church suing is a small fringe group with no official recognition in the Orthodox world." The October 17 shooting at a college in Kerch in Crimea claimed 21 lives, according to Russian authorities. 50 students were wounded. Well before anything was officially known about the shooting, Russian media rushed to blame Ukraine for the tragedy. The news broke during the broadcast of state channel Rossiya 160 Minutes program, and its moderators and guests all eagerly began accusing Ukrainian saboteurs of perpetrating the attack. Interrupting each other and shouting, both hosts and guests agreed that Ukraine had sent terrorists to Crimea. One of the first to blame Kiev was the Speaker of Crimea's State Council, Vladimir Constantinople, who said that, quote, "Everything that is evil comes to us from Ukraine's government. They do not hide their hatred of us." Russian State Duma Member of Parliament Yevgeny Fedorov also found Ukrainian traces in the shooting. Not being able to blow up the new Kerch Bridge connecting Crimea with Russia, Ukrainian saboteurs found a weak spot and blew up a school. War has been declared on us, Fedorov said. Not to be outdone, Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service Lieutenant General Leonid Reshetnikov joined the growing choir of accusers and also pointed the finger at Kyiv. Ukrainian Nazi policies not only terrorized the Donetsk and Luhansk regions, now they've turned on Crimea, Reshetnikov claimed. Russian propagandists even spotted traces of Crimean Tatars in the tragedy. Citing an anonymous source, Lenta.ru claimed that a 23-year-old Crimean Tatar walking through the college and killing the wounded was killed by the school's security. StopFake saved a screenshot of the article in its original form. Russia's disinformation machine even threw in an Islamist connection. On the eve of the shooting, Crimea's puppet leader, Sergei Aksyonov, arrived in Syria for talks with President Bashar Assad. Crimean pro-Russian activists declared that the shooting was ISIS's answer to the Crimean-Syrian cooperation reached during the talks. That's it for this week. You can find more dissected disinformation on our website, StopFake.org. Be vigilant and don't consume fakes. If you spot any disinformation about Ukraine, remember, send it to us for a truth autopsy. I'm Marko Suprun, and this is StopFake. Thanks for watching.